evangelist at Amazon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dave Ibitski. Hi, Dave.
Thank
Have
you.
fun. The stage is yours. There's the time. Have fun.
Moin moin. Wie geht's du, Hamburg? I am so delighted to be here. I have been fortunate enough to work with tech companies. I've worked with Microsoft. I'm now at Amazon, and I've always had kind of a front seat to the next tech wave. And I don't know about you, I grew up in a time where sci-fi was just part of my imagination. You know, Star Wars. This is me. Anybody here have a Commodore computer back in the day, which was big in Germany, right? That's me, rocking out on my Commodore. And even as a kid, I got tech. I got computers. I was excited about it. And then I would go talk to people about it. I would talk to my parents, and they'd be like, we have no idea what you're talking about. And so I feel like technology, we've done a disservice. We've left people behind. How many of you have a target audience of 18 to 34? Is that based on the fact that they know how to use a smartphone and a mobile app, or the fact that they're interested in your content? We're getting to the point where human beings are at the forefront again. We're eliminating devices, we're eliminating apps, and we're just having conversations. It's like Star Wars with C-3PO. And so some of you, how many here have a smart assistant at home, have an Echo device or an Alexa device? So you may see this with your kids. In fact, my youngest daughter, we have a telescope, and we're really into astronomy together. So it's just this natural interaction. I want to play this for you.
5, 6. Alexa, how many stars are in the galaxy?
Many astronomers believe it contains at least 100 billion stars.
So it's just that interaction, right? Nothing is faster and simpler than voice. And you get to the information, and you can continue with your thought. In fact, we process audio very different than video. It's probably why a lot of you can listen to music while you're reading, or you're on your phone while you're watching TV. None of this was possible until NLU. So what's different about now is natural language understanding. And you know, this has been a learning process for me. I've been fortunate enough where I was employee 1 in the skills marketing side. And as I continue to talk to customers and brands and companies and learn, I want to share all of that with you. So my hope today is I can explain what's different about this and then walk you through some of the opportunities. The first thing, catch this, I want you to really think about this. There's never been a wave of technology like this that's been as inclusive. You know, as a kid that was constantly around technology, and I've been in this industry a while, my father has never used a computer. In fact, my mother prints out emails for him. And when he sees photos, right, he'll see photos from Facebook, and he has no idea how that works. And yet, when we get together, he tells me conversations he's had with Alexa. He's discovered experiences and brands, and it's fascinating. In fact, when we launched Alexa, one of the first reviews was a wife who bought an Echo for her husband who just had a stroke, was bound in a wheelchair, and he was able to go around and turn the lights off and on, change the thermostat. It was just very empowering and inclusive. I want to play this.
I miss you so bad. I wish you didn't have to go. Alexa, call home.
Calling home.
Surprise! We miss you!
This is amazing.
So what's different about that, right? You may have done apps where you've done video communication. Think about this. There's never been a time where you didn't have to upgrade your hardware every year. You didn't have to patch an OS. You didn't have to get the latest version of the app. Every single one of your customers, everybody in your audience has the latest version of you. And it's not leaving anyone behind. And in fact, you know, it's meeting people in the moment. And I do that in my own household. In fact, OMR can drop in on grandkids, right? And you can have a conversation. And this is why you see things like a microwave that Amazon released. And this is so Star Trek-ish. I have this in my office. You can say, Alexa, heat this for 30 seconds. And the microwave just turns on. And you can see she's a busy mom. She has her hands full. It's the ability to just ask for things. And we have Alexa for hospitality. So some of you who have a device may have seen while you're traveling this week, your neurons in your brain, as you get used to, like we all, when we see a tablet now, what do? We want to do? We want to touch glass. The more that you have a conversation and you ask for things, you just ask. That's why you hear voice first. It's not a replacement, but it's just a way of getting the information. So some of you may have been asking for Alexa in your hotel room, or Alexa for work in the enterprise, or Alexa playing games. These are actual buttons. You can play Jeopardy and other things. But what we've done is, when you look at the audience of people who have never had the ability to create, maybe they don't understand a computer, they don't know how to code, we have this thing that we call blueprints, where you can actually just go through and have Alexa build it. So I can create stories for my kids, for my parents. I've created dates and stuff that they need to remember. Some of you may have a WordPress blog. You have the ability to just point this plugin to your blog, and it'll narrate it in over 40 different voices across all languages that you can go ahead and have a flash briefing in the morning. So somebody's having their coffee, they're getting ready for work, and they're having a conversation with you. So it's meeting in the moment. And in fact, there's over 90,000 of these skills now across brands and all sorts of different types of conversation. But conversation is complex, right? Even as human beings, we mess that up. Sometimes message communicated isn't always message received. So if I say something like this, Alexa 1-2, this is the way NLU works. So we'll break it down phonetically. This happens to be the US English model, of which there's over 40 different phonemes, right? So phonemes. So you say tomato, tomato. So if I said 1-2, did I mean 12? Did I mean ordinal 1-2? Or maybe I meant something like 1-2. I won 2 games. Or how about maybe we were together and you happened to have won 2, right? So there's ambiguity. And then we get into all sorts of different languages. So if we have ein, zwei, you know, what does that mean? How is that understood? So what's different is that machines can understand intention. And it's like with I have 2 girls at home, and as they were learning languages, it was use it in a sentence. That's what Alexa is doing. That's what all of these AIs are doing. So if I was to create, let's say we were going to create a conversation about playing a game, and we're going to call it scorekeeper. So if I ask for my score, that's the utterance. That's what the human being is saying. But as human beings, we mix stuff up all the time. I have a tendency to use lots of adjectives, stuff like awesome and amazing. So if I mix it up, I may say, what about my best score? What's changed with NLU across all of the assistants, whether you use Alexa or not, I want you to catch this. It's taken spoken language and converting it into programmatic data types. That's it. From a technical perspective, you're using your same web APIs, your same mobile APIs. It's just that you can have human language as the HTML for all of the technology in your life. Make sense? And so, you know, we can convert dates. We have the ability to know about different topics. We're actually teaching. This blows, if I talk to a developer audience, this always blows their mind in that there's no code. You're teaching Alexa how people might ask for a score. So here you have get my score, tell me my score, things like that. And then what we've done as Amazon is tried to teach Alexa about the world. So if you're creating, let's say, a music service, and you want the ability for anyone to just recall music from their youth, and maybe it's local music in specific categories. And I love the fact that we just have artists playing. One of these days, I'm going to go ahead and do a musical number on stage. It's the one universal language. You know, it's rhythm, it's a bass rhythm mixed in with waves of chaos, right? Just like our lives. And you have the ability to do that. You could do music, video, search, date, times. So when I say something like tomorrow, it'll look like that date. Make sense? And so that's really what's changed. It's not converting voice to text. It's converting human intention into actions. And so instead of all of these guardrails that we've had where we forced people to interact in mobile and web interfaces, you can meet your customer in the moment, and they can tell you how they want to interact. So what kind of conversations should you be having? If you've never thought about this before, I want you to think in terms of time. Nothing beats speed as a human being. And so I'm going to look at utility as time. If we want to browse for something, mobile and web's still great for that. I don't want you to repeat a whole bunch of things. In fact, I probably only remember one sentence if you go ahead and give me a bunch of information. But then telling, that's the next step up. So currently, if I want the temperature in Hamburg, it's 12 degrees Celsius. Nothing's faster than that. It's just getting information like you saw easier. But what about specific search? I did check for Rammstein tickets this weekend, and that's the actual price in euros. So the ability to do that and just say, book it. Right? All of the Alexa accounts are integrated with Amazon Pay. So if you have a customer, it's right there and then. I have the ability to just get to that content. I don't have to deal with drop-downs and date boxes. I can just go ahead, search for the information, and get to what I need. And then doing. Nothing is faster than doing than voice. So if I go ahead and I say, Alexa, turn upstairs to 21, you actually see the thermostat move. I didn't have to go up and touch it. I didn't have to go ahead and use a mobile app, anything like that. And then this context can continue across turns. The conversation is never ending. So if I want to go ahead and look at the Maritime Museum, because I saw the Elbphilharmonie yesterday, which was incredible, I can go ahead and ask a follow-up, how do I get there from here? And then there's multimodal context. So this is super interesting. If you've only done mobile, what does it mean when I ask for something like, show me the baby's room, and there's a screen? I want to see him. But if I'm in my car, I want to hear him. So what does your brand sound like? What's the conversation that you're having with customers? And what type of information do you want to display? So if I do a drop-in, maybe I just want to hear my parents if I'm in the car, but if I'm in front of a screen, I want to see them. In 2019, that's just an expectation. It's not one or the other. It's you figure out the type of device that I'm using. You can no longer rely on the fact that it may be a mobile device. It could be anything. It could be a TV. It could be a speaker. It could be my car. And so there's this evolving device context. If you have a customer who's bought a podcast from you, and then they've bought music from you, and maybe they have some articles, or maybe you have an author who's written material, when I go ahead and I ask for that material, so if I'm asking for something, and I'll say Game of Thrones because I'm totally into it, season 8. If I say Game of Thrones right now, right? If I'm sitting there and I'm having a coffee like you can see she is, that's either music or audiobook. But if I'm in front of my TV, what do I expect? I want that to come instantly. So the human being is becoming the interface for driving all of this tech. And I don't know about you, working in this industry for 25 years, I've never walked into a company and said, this is great. You get to learn an entirely new programming languages. All your customers have to buy new devices. You don't want that. You don't want anybody to become you and your customer. And this is what voice enables. And then there's personalization, too. When I go ahead and I say, play the top hits, it's the music I listen to. It's not my teen daughter's music. And that happens automatically over time. So how do we measure this stuff? We give you a bunch of things. So if you go to amazon.de/skills right now, you'll see this. You actually see Amazon customers reviewing. There's categories you can search, which is what I suggest everybody does. But one of the things I want you to think about, this is just a little example of a dice roller I did. There's a game, Dungeons & Dragons, from my youth. This allows you to roll all dice. But you can see here, customers are actually telling me what they want. Companies like Capital One use Amazon reviews now as part of their usability experience. And then we have IPAs. So if I look at retention, what you would expect, I get one repeat customer the next day. You're not going to roll die every day. But we do IPAs. So this is super interesting. Even in this, what I've learned is the first time you use this, if you've never used it before, you roll a die, and then you roll a die again. You explore. Over time, when you know how it works and what the conversation's like, you get to the information you want immediately. So I roll a die, and then I'm done. And you can monetize this through much in the same way that you're used to with mobile, where you can do in-app purchasing, you can do subscriptions, but you also have the ability to do things like Amazon Pay. So it's in the moment, you have a podcast, you have a guest on, you can say, hey, would you like to buy their album right now for 50% off? So it's right there and then. This is what it looks like with Amazon Pay. So I just want to leave you with this. The next time you're thinking about rolling out a new experience, is your customer on the right or is your customer on the left? I think you would be surprised at some of the data that that customer on the left could potentially bring to your business. This is an inclusive technology. It's available to everybody. Whenever, however, for everyone, meeting your customer in the moment, the conversation never ends. Thank you.